What? What are you doing?
It's so soft. Oh, you can hear that.
I'm not rolling it yet.
Oh, it's so soft. Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. So, as you could guess, today's topic is what is family? And we're going to go about it by deconstructing what a family is and the values of it. So, first thing is true romance.
Oh, tell me about that.
So, true romance is really interesting because we all want it, right? We all want that romanticism, to be in a relationship, to love and be loved. But what does it mean to truly be loved? So, I think the first example that we should be able to give is what it means to not love. Because sometimes I think that our perception of what it means to love is almost limiting, especially to the other person.
Right.
So, I don't know, I guess when you love someone, how do you love someone, Monica?
So, to me,
Or show them that you love them?
well, to me, what love truly means, it means sacrificial love. It means giving yourself for that person. And I feel like all
Okay,
of
that's
us,
a good point.
Yeah.
Sacrificial love. And say the last part?
So I feel like all of us need to give ourselves completely, and we all desire the same. We want people to give themselves completely to love us. So love shouldn't be something about using somebody or objectifying somebody, but it's being ready to lay down your life for the sake of the other person. So it's very important that that's the first thing when
Yeah.
we're talking about love. That's what we desire from
Yeah.
somebody else, and that's what we should be giving
Great.
to the other party.
So it's not just like, I like you, let's hang out, but it's true love when you're going into a relationship with one another. It's
It's about respect.
how can yes.
Yes.
And again, what do you need from me? How much more can I give to you?
Right.
And it was kind of like the episode that we did on the prodigal son where he was selfish, and we were talking about what more can we give to God?
Right.
And in the same instance, it's kind of like, what more can we give to this other person? Because
So
we're choosing
what do you think of the relationships? You know, a lot of people say like, oh, I can date, and
Yeah.
you know, we can have premarital sex and all that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts on that? Because is that sacrificial love? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, okay, that's a good question. So for premarital sex, so meaning you are not married and you are having sex out of wedlock,
Does that gear or help?
there's an
foster the
understanding
family?
that you must have first going into having sex with someone. There's a spiritual bond that is happening.
Right.
And if you don't think so, then I think it's
It ends up being like a person is like an object. Maybe?
yeah, but I think
Like-
it's something to contemplate about, because it's more than just an act of desires and fluids.
Right.
It's more of a
You going
it's
deep.
It's a connection, though.
Right.
It's almost like it's deeper than a touch. When you hug someone, right?
Right.
You can feel that.
Right.
And now, when I am actually morphing myself into you, it's like I am bonding. Again, it's like, what did we talk about? Those cellular bonds. You are bonding yourself. Your soul isn't going and it's entwining into that other person. So
So do you think like
it's
that
such
kind
a heaviness, and it leaves you with that.
So do you think like that kind of, you know, like premarital sex, do you think that fosters the family, or do you think it goes against that? Like sacrificial love, you know, giving yourself completely for the other person. Do you think that would foster that? Or how does it not foster it?
I don't think it fosters it at all, because if you're only going at it with sex in mind, then
Right.
you're only thinking about your own desires.
Right.
Not what you can give someone, but what you can take from them for your own beneficial pleasures.
Right. So, and also I do think, because the family is very important, you know, the father, the mother, the children, everybody's giving themselves completely into
Yeah.
to this unit. The mother is laying down, like being a mother, you have to sacrifice everything for the sake of your children, like cooking and cleaning and doing all these
Yeah.
things for your children. The children have to sacrifice for the parents.
And I think that's the best example too. like sometimes it's hard to think, okay, how do I love someone? Like it's kind of like this abstract concept that people have a hard time forming into reality for themselves. And you just think about your mother's love for you. Like a mother's love is undying.
She doesn't abuse you.
She doesn't abuse
take
you.
for granted.
Always forgiving.
Always
Anytime you
giving.
make a mistake, it's
Yeah.
just like, come back to me. Come
Right.
back to me. It's okay, but come back to me. And it's like, how would you show your mother that you would love her?
Right. Yeah. So, and I think it's very important, like, going into a relationship, seeing that that's what we need to be bringing into a relationship, because that's what fosters a family.
Yeah.
Because if you're just objectifying somebody and just using them, nobody has any responsibility towards the other one, and it's just like, I'm using them, getting what I need to get out of them, and just moving on. There's no way that we can promote that family, and we all need family. I mean, you have friends.
Yes.
Where did they come from? It comes from this sense of family.
Yeah.
A man came together with a woman, and they had children, and now you have friends, and comes and then moves up to your community, and we all enjoy hanging out in our community and doing all this stuff. So no man is an island, and everybody wants to enjoy that experience of having the community around. So it's very, very important to understand the importance that through that family, through respect of that relationship, and having that sense of bond and unity, because even from God you can see like the Trinity, they're all giving to each other. Jesus is giving to the Father, and the Father is giving to the Holy Spirit.
He's
and
the love, beloved. And,
and
yes.
everybody's just giving themselves, and nobody is trying to objectify himself. Everybody respects that kind of relationship, and they're willing to give, like, Jesus came down and he died for us, and we're willing to give their life for the sake of love.
Yes.
So, and I think that's very important to understand. That is the importance of a family. We need a family because that builds our communities. It's the cell that gels us together. It's something, it's the bond, because if there's no family, we don't have any bond. I can't have you, because if there was no family, I can't have you to talk to.
Exactly. And I think that's important too, because of where the society is, at least American society. It's very individualistic minded.
Right.
So I'm going after my own pursuits. That career job, the goals, those whatever aspirations that you have, and it's very single-minded towards them,
Right.
and not about building outside of them,
Yeah.
and how to, and developing a community within that. It's
Right.
only about how can I get myself to where I want to be, and then I'll think about everybody else once I'm where I want.
But the thing is, we need community. You
Yeah.
want to go to the park and play, you need a community to be there. You want to go to a party, you're not going to go to the party and dance by yourself, because you need
But why? Why do we need community?
Because you look at the family from a single cell, father, mother, and the child. It builds a bigger unit, and then from that you build into the community, and then from the community you build into a nation, and then you build into a nation, you build a civilization. So we need that, because that's what holds any culture, any society together. Because if we don't have family, we don't have any kind of civilization or society.
So then, what would you say? What is needed at the root to cause this family, to create this family? What do you need then?
So I think what's really important, we need love, and true love, true romance, which comes out of respect. It's sacrificial love, understanding that this bond is about respect for each other, and not putting our personal needs first, but putting the needs of all the other family members together first before our own. So that's what needs to happen in order for us to have any strong society. I mean, if you look even at other civilizations over the ages, they have thrived through these small units together, and they have survived because they were able to build strong communities and bond together.
Exactly. The hunters and gatherers, every time anyone talks about evolution, the hunters and gatherers are a part of that. They're called hunters and gatherers because they're doing this together.
Right.
They don't go out alone.
And just
they're always within community because
yeah.
they understood that we are the building blocks.
Right.
Without one of another, we won't survive.
Right.
We're desolate.
But so-
One, we
so-
can't reproduce. We
Right.
can't reproduce on our own.
Right.
A man can't reproduce with another man. He needs the bonding of another female who creates a family, and then within that, outside of that family, they again begin to create more and more families, and we begin to build on top of this society.
Right, and
we
that's how-
find
that's
the
how-
skills,
yeah.
and that's how everything
Yeah,
comes
the Western
to be.
civilization came together because it just didn't come from random. It came from this small little,
Yeah.
you have your family, I have my family, your kids, grow
Yeah.
up together. We build this community, and then it grows into this whole big thing. We have a country, we have a nation. and we have the civilization. So
Yeah.
we need this kind of system, because if we are detached and selfish and putting our own needs, we don't have, the society is going to disintegrate eventually. And I know people may make an argument and say, oh, but how am I supposed to care? If I have a family, how am I supposed to care for the, what are your thoughts on that?
How are they supposed to care for their family?
Yeah, like maybe they say like, oh, if I'm not ready, like, I got bills and I got these things, like how can I manage a family? I'm not ready, but I still want to have sex. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? But I'm not ready for a family.
Okay, so I think first thing, one, to say you're not ready, do they already have a family or they don't have a family?
No, because they don't have a family at this point.
Oh, they don't have a family.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can control. It's not meant for your control. One, if you're already dating someone, you're dating someone with the means of marrying
Oh,
them.
that should be the intention.
That's the intention.
Yeah.
So if it's not the intention, then you shouldn't be dating.
Right.
Because otherwise, there's no point.
So
You're
what
not
somebody
moving towards anything.
says, oh, I have needs. Why don't I date somebody? I got needs, but
But
I'm
it's
not ready
again,
for
it
that
goes back to the sacrificial love.
Right.
If you're not in it for sacrificial love, what did Christ do? Christ didn't do this for his own gain. There was no gain in him dying for us.
Right.
Besides the fact of giving us at least no personal gain. This was all for us, and it was all for God.
Right.
And he said, he knew, lacerate my body.
Right.
You were able to, it happened, but it was all for us. So if you're not willing to think outside yourself and the higher purpose to what you're giving for, then there's no point in you starting something that's not going anywhere.
So what do you think, like in cases, okay, for example, people are married and then you don't have children, I think the technical term is sterility in relationships, use of contraception and stuff like that. I personally work in the hospital, and I do know the problems that come from that,
It's again, you're going against God's will. We're put on this earth to reproduce. That's why we have a reproduction system. It is meant for us to multiply.
Right.
So why are you stopping that process?
Right. And like I said,
if it's again, and the only reason you're stopping it most likely is for selfish needs, selfish desires,
Right.
to fulfill on the things that you want. But giving yourself to God is not fulfilling on the things you want, but binding your will to his will.
Right.
So it's about, okay, God, I know this isn't what I want, but I'm going to do it anyway for you.
and like I was saying, like even I work in the hospital, and I know the problems that come from using contraception. Like people don't know, because your body is designed, like nature knew best, like designed to release this egg every month. And when you take medication going against those things, it's like you're forcing the body to do things that you're not. And what's ironic, you find like I'm taking like juicing and doing all these things and exercising,
Yeah.
and then I'm pumping these drugs that are
That's such a good point. Yes.
yeah, it's like destroying your own body by pumping these drugs that are not natural to your own body, and then it's distorting.
counterintuitive,
and then
yeah.
it's distorting your whole hormones, and then eventually, like I've seen a lot of people, you get blood clots and all these things and complications, and they have to take out your organs. All this from the complications of trying to just
Yeah.
have a good time and not accept responsibility. So I think it's just doesn't help in any way
Yeah.
in terms of the very thing that we're and children are beautiful, they make our lives complete. You have a friend, it comes
Yeah.
from somebody having that child, and we really do need those friends, and
Yeah.
it's from somebody, or the husband that you want to marry, or the girlfriend that you want to
But
have.
I think that's a good point too. It's like, we want what we want, right? Some people want sex, but you also want children eventually.
Right.
But then you're introducing these contraceptives in because you're not willing, you don't want to take the steps to get to children. It's kind of like you want to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm going to have all the sex that I want and put off kids until I'm ready. But think about what it's doing to your body. It's creating more of a detriment than anything.
Right.
And so, but then at the same time, the other end of that is like, we want health. We want to live this most like glorious life. And so we're juicing. But then, all of our actions counters that.
Right. And children, I can say personally, children really change your life. Like, they make you grow in ways that you don't even understand. Like, they will make you a much better person. And I have seen people in the hospital, they say, like, man, I wish I just had a child to help me,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, that's our process, the natural process. We're going to grow older. If you don't have anybody there to support you, even in my own culture, you need the community to be there to support you. But if you don't have anybody on your deathbed by yourself, and that is the saddest thing most people have had say, like, hey, I wish I could have children. I wish I hadn't stopped that process. I wish I could just give life a chance. And now here I am on the deathbed by myself, and nobody's here with me. So it's really sad. So anyway, what's to take home from all this conversation?
All this conversation. Wow. Okay, this was a lot. I'd say, I don't know. Tell me your take home first.
Well, my take home is, number one, family is important.
Yes.
And we have to be ready to sacrifice for each other in the family. Father needs to take on the responsibility and sacrifice for the mother. Mother needs to take responsibility and sacrifice for the husband and the children and everybody. So it's just this whole system of giving and loving and everybody, and just so that's my take home. And also to understand that we need the family, and the family needs to be strong in order for us to have a stable society. If we don't have a family and a stable family structure, the society eventually is going to disintegrate, because it's nature already designed. It's natural order that we need this system to thrive and survive and protect ourselves. So we need to foster that. So
and
that's my take home.
Yeah, and I think for me it's just, one, understanding the core of the family.
Right.
What are you building your family towards? If you don't have a purpose for the family, you don't have a goal, then the family will be lost. And that higher goal, that higher purpose, if it's hard for you to find one, it should always be God.
Right. I like
that. That is the one thing you should always go back to. When you don't know, seek God first.
Right.
Again, because God is love. Not only
and
is
he
loving,
created us. He
but
created
he is
us,
love.
and he created us with the systems, and he knew that this is what we need in order for us to stay stable, for us to thrive. And only in the systems can we survive and be sustainable. We talk about sustainability and protecting the earth, but we're forgetting to protect the family. We are trying to protect trees, but we cannot protect the family. So it's just contradictory. So we have to understand that God, in his natural design, knew best what's best for us. And the family is important, and we need to go back to the family, love the families, support the families, and keep the families together.
And again, what did you say? God designed it.
Right.
God designed it this way. So we can't control it. It is out of our hands. It is out of our hands.
And let's just
Once we make the
cooperate
vow
with it.
to be in a marriage, to be in a covenant, we are not only in a covenant with the person, our spouse, but we are in a covenant with God.
Right.
So the moment that we break that covenant, we are also breaking that bond with God.
And you know what's interesting?
And that's the most deeply saddening thing.
Yeah, and you know what's happened? Like, even when you look at the history of Israel, the times that they went against what God had designed, that's when the society disintegrated. So it's very important to know that in order for us to have, everybody wants stability, everybody wants a nice home, a beautiful family, everybody loving. But if we're not willing to obey what God designed in nature himself, then we know we're going to destroy our own selves. So we are our worst enemies. So, hey, we don't want to destroy ourselves. So let's keep the family going.
Let's go. Let's reproduce.
Yeah.
Let's give it to God.
Yeah.
Woo! And let go of control. Okay? Okay.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Thank
and we'll
you.
catch you next time on Bread with the
Sisters.
Bye.